to the moon in this decade and do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone.
That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives by this point of pale light.
We shall prevail.
Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Welcome to the Internet Space Program.
What's up, GM, everybody? Welcome to another edition of MoonDAO Town Hall. How's it going, Pablo?
Hey, Ryan. How's it going? Excited for the Town Hall today. We've got Eiman, who's going to be sharing about his book. So that's exciting. And then also we're deep into fundraise week 2, I believe, or maybe
well, 1 week. 1 week.
Exactly at 1 week.
Yep. So 1 week, we're off to a decent start.
Yeah, we're at around 45K. Pretty good start. And
39 contributions, I think, last time I checked.
Yep, and we've got a lot of committed funds that are making their way on chain as well. So we'll see those contributions coming in over the next week or so. So yeah, exciting stuff.
We also got the leaderboard live right after the launch, which was really cool. So yeah, the people who are contributing, donating in support of Frank White's flight, the goal is to send 2 people to space, Frank alongside a travel companion, if you will, to space. And yeah, Pablo did a great job cranking out the leaderboard here right after we went live, and we're getting votes that are coming through in support of some of our citizens already. So it's really cool to see that happening.
I'm pulling up the leaderboard. I feel like it'd be good to show.
Yeah, good demonstration. So just to recap for people who are either joining us now, as you contribute, you get the overview token proportional to the amount you contributed, and that gives you governance rights and the ability to participate in some governance decisions within the mission profile. The first of which is helping to select the candidate pool for the second seat.
Yeah, so these are the current standings. So keep in mind, so this is round 1, and we'll be taking the top 25. So we've got Andrew Titan in #1 position with a healthy big lead at 2,000 overview, over 2,000 overview. And a lot of familiar faces here on the leaderboard. But yeah, it's starting to fill up. We're at 16 people that are going to be competing. And yeah, we'll probably reach this 25 person cutoff soon. But yeah, it's important to note that it's not just, so if you contribute, you can back yourself, but you can also back anyone you'd like. So you can use your overview to back whomever, as long as they're a MoonDAO citizen. So.
Yep, we've been getting a lot of questions, just about the raise and about this aspect of it, the leaderboard. Yeah, if you stick around, we should have some more time after the conversation with Eiman, and we can jump into some of those frequently asked questions for everyone. So yeah, encourage you to stick around. We also have shared an FAQ document in the Discord as well for those of you, but we'll be going through some of that later on.
Yeah, and the mission page has gotten a little bit of a revamp thanks to Miguel. So yeah, we're making our way. we're at 2%. So long road to go, but I think we'll make it. We'll just need to keep pushing with outreach, but it really needs to be a big collective MoonDAO effort. So if you know anyone that resonates with what we're trying to achieve for sending Frank, or they want a chance of going to space themselves, help reach out to them, tell them about the campaign. Really anything helps. $5, $10. It goes a long way, even these small contributions.
Yeah, been seeing some great activity on social media. Love seeing that. People are pretty enthusiastic about Frank's flight and the chance to go to space. So, keep it coming, help get the word out. If there's anyone who deserves to go to space, it's definitely Frank White. And, we hope we can rally the global space community around this initiative to help them bring space. So, super exciting. But,
Awesome. Well, we've got Eiman waiting here. I think we should pull him up and have him share a bit about his upcoming book. Add Eiman up here on the stage. Hey, Eiman, how's it going?
Good. Good to see everybody. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
Good.
So you're writing a book, which is awesome. You've done a documentary, now a book. I guess tell us a little bit about maybe like a quick synopsis of the book itself and why you decided to write it.
Well, first off, I will say Frank White wrote the foreword of my book. So if you want to learn more about Frank or maybe about my book, when you purchase it, you can read the foreword, because I've been fortunate since my space flight about 1.5 years ago now to get to know Frank well. And so I just want to throw out that I think it's awesome that MoonDAO is trying to raise funds to send Frank to space and hopefully another community member. And so, yes, every dollar you guys can donate really does matter, even if it's $5. Now, as far as it goes for my book, I didn't set out on this journey of like trying to go to space to write a book, but over the last 1.5 years, I've spent a lot of time talking to people, students, corporate people, just all ages. And I felt like I was sharing the same message, which was this message of like, how do you keep chasing dreams that seem impossible? For me, that was spaceflight, right? This was something I had wanted to do for probably 40 years, and for 20 years was trying really hard to make happen, and then really finally happened because of this community, because of MoonDAO. And so as I went through and I was talking to more and more people, schools, companies, I just realized maybe I should put this in a book, because then I could help others. So if you're going to ask me what the book was about, the brief synopsis, so it's called A Heart for Space, because I'm a cardiologist. And it's an astronaut's guide to achieving the impossible. And it's part memoir, so sharing stories of my life, of things that I've gone through. It's part how-to, so there's a set defined path and action items, and hopefully things that will provoke the reader to think about how they can achieve what they want to do, that either that hard, impossible task like going to space, or maybe something like, I want to go to the gym every day, whatever it might be, helping you get to that part. And then the other part that I'm super excited about that kind of came together as I was writing this is I interviewed 8 astronauts. So I actually interviewed people like Jared Isaacman, Siam Proctor, Chris Huey, Nicole Stott, Eitan Stib, who flew with Axiom, the first Axiom mission. So it's not only my story, but it's also you can learn from these other people that achieve their dreams of going to space.
Awesome. Yeah, I remember one of my favorite anecdotes of when we were first getting to know you, Eiman, was that you happened to be with Arnold Schwarzenegger when like the week after we broke the news, you're like, hey, yeah, I can jump on the town hall, but I've got to go hang out with Arnold real quick. And then we found out that you're also part of this very active workout community with Arnold. And yeah, I guess I've always been struck by, like, I remember one time I was sitting like adjacent to you during a talk, and you pulled up your phone, and it was your calendar, and it was the most packed calendar I've ever seen in my life. Like, and you're waking up every morning during that conference at like 6 a.m. or something, running around. So yeah, I guess tell us how do you keep this up? How do you keep up all this energy, working towards all these different goals? I mean, you've got a documentary, a book now. How do we become more like Eiman?
Well, don't try to become more like Eiman. Become more Pablo or more Ryan or more whoever you are. I mean, I think I don't require a ton of sleep, but maybe that helps. I don't recommend that as a physician. I think you should get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. The data shows that your risk of everything decreases with better sleep. But I mean, I think really, like, sure, that is how I operate. I am very packed and I'm pretty efficient about getting things done. But that doesn't mean that that's the best way for you or other people. I think what's really important is having a system set forth to do that thing. And so part of my book is what's my system, right? It's not only like what are the steps to achieving your dream, but it's also like some action items of, hey, this is what works for me. Maybe you should try that. And so it'll be interesting if and when people buy the book and read it, what they think. You know, was it useful? Was it not? I don't know if you've ever written a book, Pablo or Ryan or anyone else out there today, but like, you write this thing, right? It's like your baby, you create it. You probably share more than you want, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. And then you hope that someone finds some use out of it and that it has some sort of like positive impact. It's like anything else. It's when I go talk to people at a conference, if one person, you know, it could be a dead silent room, people could just stare at me the whole time. But if one person comes up and says, hey, that was great, I really learned something, then it was a successful talk. So I hope at least one person reads this book and feels inspired. I will say Frank White read it. He's probably one of like 5 people that's read the book completely by now. And he said it got him motivated for this campaign that MoonDAO is doing. So if I can inspire Frank like he's inspired all of us, then maybe there's some benefit to this book.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I guess you started out talking about how you were able to achieve all these dreams through persistence and determination. But then you also interviewed a bunch of other people that have done the same. I'm curious, well, one, what did you learn via maybe this like introspection on your own system and having to explain it and verbalize it to others, but then also seeing how other people maybe approach reaching their own goals and so what did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about others while writing this book?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when talking to other people and trying to understand what got them from step one to where they ended up, a lot of it is like a genuine interest in something, right? So for the people I spoke to, it was a genuine interest in space. I think a lot of people wanted to do it growing up, but didn't think it was ever going to happen. But because they had that genuine interest and they were pursuing a passion or a career, when the opportunity came, they jumped on it, right? They knew that that was their one opportunity to seize that moment and be successful. I think the other thing that for both myself and for others is that life rarely follows the path that you define, right? We can all start our journey and be like, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do that, and then eventually I'm going to get to this goal. But the reality is often in life you get thrown curveballs, and so you have to remain flexible. And so both in my story and everyone I spoke to, there were lots of times where things weren't going right. Things weren't going the way that they had planned or expected, and yet still somehow everyone achieved a pretty amazing dream of getting to space.
Right. I remember you shared that your house burned down in the California fires, and you had to relocate. You had to move your whole family. Yeah, maybe could you walk us through that period and what you learned from that?
I mean, I think that there is nothing as unsettling as the loss of your home, both from like the feeling of security and then also just losing all your things, you know, whether it's a fire or here in Nashville we have tornadoes or people who have their homes flooded. Just that like utter destruction is very difficult. And I imagine this is what people, you know, are going through in parts of the world now with war, right? There's just instability. Uh, Acutely, right when that happened, we had to find a place to live, right? I'm still trying to work. We didn't have a house. And so we ended up in a part of town that I would have never thought to live. You know, we were living above a family downstairs, and I say we had a 2-bedroom apartment. And it wasn't really a family; it was actually 3 families living in this 2-bedroom apartment below us. So we had kind of gone from living in a house to living in a place where 3 families had to live in one small apartment to be able to support their rent. Um, and when that happened, I kind of had a few options. I could have said, okay, we're just going to stick it through, maybe find a new house to live or rebuild and go back to this job. And my job then was okay, but I wasn't loving it. Or I thought maybe this would be a good opportunity to look for something new and look to improve our lives in a way that I thought was necessary, at least for my career. So for me at that point, I started looking at how do I get back to Nashville? How do I get back into academic medicine where I'm teaching more? Because at the time when I was in California, I wasn't teaching. There was, you know, I was at a private practice, Kaiser, and there weren't really any students to teach. So for me, while it was very unsettling and there was a lot of uncertainty, I realized that it was a good opportunity to maybe move across country. Because then we didn't require a big moving truck, right? We'd lost everything. So we just get in the car and drive.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it sounds like you kind of were able to turn it into a phoenix moment where from the ashes you're able to reconstruct a bunch of different parts of your life and then reevaluate, I guess. Did you find that commonality in a lot of the other people that you interviewed? Or yeah, I guess yeah, how do you feel like how do you think people should react when they're set back in that sort of way? What sort of advice could you give them?
Well, the first thing I would say, back to your question of did I find it when I was talking to other people, I would say that almost certainly everyone I talked to had setbacks. And out of those setbacks, they actually discovered more of who they were. So it is kind of like that Phoenix moment where they were a person and then something happened that was unexpected, sometimes tragic. And then on the other end, they actually became a truer form of who they are, a true form of themselves. So that's very true. Now, to your second point of kind of, I guess, how do you deal with those situations? I think everyone's going to handle it differently. The one thing I like to think of in life is that the one certainty is change, right? So you realize as you get older and as you exist that nothing stays constant, and your ability to actually determine what changes is limited to an extent, right? Like I had no control over the house fire. I had no control over NASA not picking me up to be an astronaut in 2009 or 2013. But what I can do is choose how I react to that. So I can either let it engulf me and make me disappointed, sad, frustrated, or give up. Or on the other end, I can say, okay, well, that's okay. Like this one thing does not define who I am. And so how can I pivot and move forward and do those things that I can be successful, whatever that definition of success is to myself, right? It doesn't have to be something outward. It could be something inward.
Right. Yeah. something that struck me when I went out to visit you in Nashville for the documentary is just the amount of support that you have from your nuclear family, your extended family, your community. I mean, you relocated to Nashville, but it seemed like you'd been there your whole life, or like there's so many people around you that were supporting you. Well, I guess you grew up in Nashville, so that makes sense.
I
But
did, yeah. It
still,
helped.
yeah, it was just wild the amount of support that you had. But then you're also a doctor. You at the time you had recently started working as crew member 7 at Blue Origin, and then coming back to so you're incredibly busy. You're traveling. You've gone down to Brazil with MoonDAO. So I guess I wonder how do you balance like nurturing all of these relationships around you while being very focused across many different career paths and goals, and like how do you structure your own system to be able to have space for all of that?
I would say the MoonDAO community is part of that community too, and the people who are, I don't know how many people are online right now, but all of you also, right? There's groups I've made through the internet and through space. I don't do this well, but Arnold Schwarzenegger said the key to kind of being good at something is that when you're doing that one thing, just focus on that one thing. And I think in our modern era, we're all pretty, we're easily interrupted, whether it's by technology or by someone coming and talking. But like, really, if you're focused on working on a presentation, then you should do that until you're done, and then move on to the next thing, whether that's then writing that chapter in the book, or spending time with a friend, calling a friend, texting a friend, and try to be as focused on the present activity as possible. I'm terrible at this. My wife will tell you I'm terrible at this. I'm trying to be better. And I think part of the nurturing relationships is that if you are a genuine human being, which I know like both of you are, and you're not constantly seeking some sort of gain from your friends or your community, but you're just truly enjoying them for who they are and just their presence, then it becomes pretty easy to foster that relationship, right? Because people know that if they need you, you're there. People know that you truly care, and that it's not a transactional relationship. It's just a genuine, care and concern for each other. And I am very lucky because I have a large family, like you said, extended family with lots of cousins. Tomorrow is the Iranian New Year. So Eid Shema Mubarak, that means Happy New Year in Farsi. It's on the spring equinox, which is tomorrow. But even 2 days ago, all my cousins and their kids came over, because what we do is we jump over fire before the Iranian New Year to kind of get rid of the bad and the old and bring in the new. And what a fortunate thing that we have that. But that wouldn't have happened without, at 2 p.m. I was talking to my wife and we're like, oh, tonight's the night we got to jump over fire. Let's text everyone, see if they want to come over and just eat pizza. So impromptu, 2 hours before we got together, we just sent a text and everyone made the effort. And it really does take a lot of that. I think unfortunately, what we do often in our society now is we don't let those spontaneous things happen. And we feel like we have to plan everything. But if we pick up the phone randomly and call someone when you're driving home from work after work, they're going to be happy to hear from you if they're a friend, right? You don't have to plan it. We're going to talk on Sunday at 2 p.m. No, just pick up the phone. If they can't pick up, they don't pick up. And so those texts you send randomly, those phone calls you make, those emails you send, they matter. And so just make sure you're doing it.
Eiman, speaking of like the community, we've got a bunch of people here in the audience too that are part of your extended space family and that support community. We got Andrew Paris and Smokey's Outpost and a number of other people here that are shouting out Eiman. But yeah, how do these virtual communities or these kind of extended networks and relationships impact you personally, or how do they contribute to eventually traveling to space and having that opportunity. I mean, a lot of these people are your extended space family. So just curious, how can a community like I-24 or how can a community like MoonDAO, how can we foster that, I guess, and support one another in these journeys?
I think that the online communities are just as important as the in-person ones for things that, particularly for things that are unusual, right? The space community, online, there's thousands of us, but maybe in Nashville, there's like a handful, right? Really trying to do it. So if you want to succeed, you have to find your people. You have to find the people that are going to help lift you up when you're succeeding, when things are, going well, and also be there to support you when things aren't going well, because life is like that, right? Sometimes things are good, sometimes things are bad. The other benefit is that if you take the time to build these communities, they can introduce you to opportunities. I remember I actually introduced Andrew to MoonDAO and helped him, open up his first crypto wallet. And I transferred some ETH to him so he could start the process. And now he's able to do that for other people because he's become comfortable with the technology. But that required him and I knowing each other through online. And then when you have the opportunity, when you're going to be somewhere where some of these people are in person, you got to try to meet them. So I'm going to be going to McAllen, Texas next week. I'm going to go try to drive down to Starbase and check it out. But there's a few people from the Inspired 24, which is one of these online communities there. And so hopefully we're going to grab dinner. And so you have to take the online and try to bring it virtual, or try to bring it into the real world when you can, to really, I think, cement those ties.
Nice. Yeah, I remember, I think we actually ended up meeting up first, or we ended up meeting up with Andrew, I think, in person before you did, which I thought was so funny because you guys were like old friends, and then somehow Pablo and I met up with Andrew
in Houston, I think, or you guys were,
we got barbecue.
Barbecue, amazing barbecue. Thank you, Andrew. But so
I mean, all of these things are, I mean, common sense items, right? Like, I have 8 steps of how to succeed and chase your dreams. That's kind of like the book is set around 8 chapters and 8 well-defined steps. None of it's rocket science, right? But you have to be mindful about it. You have to know that there's a way to succeed, and that it's going to require persistence. It's going to require flexibility. But if you don't know what the outcome is that you want, then you're never going to get there. So really the first step is you have to define what you want, whether it's to learn to play guitar, or to try to go for that promotion at work, or to try to get to outer space.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I guess, so you didn't have a clearly defined, or necessarily a clearly defined path to get to space. I guess, well, it was a 20-year journey. You started applying through NASA, and then you could have never expected that, in 2021, that there would be these sort of like internet communities that are trying to send people to space. Like that seems like an impossibility back when you were starting your journey. So yeah, I'm curious, even if you have this clearly defined goal, how do you deal with maybe like over time you're not sure if you're going to be able to make it, or I don't know, how do you deal with life circumstances maybe seemingly closing doors as you're trying to make progress towards the goal?
I mean, you were absolutely right. So in 2004, when I started this journey, NASA was the only game in town, right? Unless you were a multimillionaire and you could fly with the Soyuz. They were retiring the shuttle. We didn't have a clear spacecraft, right, to come forward. But I knew that I wanted to go to space, and Blue Origin had just started, SpaceX had just started. There was no commercial space flight, didn't even exist. It wasn't really even on the public's radar. But I knew that this is something I wanted to do, and so I just kind of persisted. And then in 2021, everything changed with commercial space flight. It wasn't even these internet groups sending people to space. We actually had a way to get to space, suborbital and orbital, starting with really Inspiration 4 was the first one that kind of made it public on SpaceX, but Virgin and Blue Origin ended up flying a few months before Inspiration 4. And then all of a sudden I realized there was another route. So I had the dream. I started putting in the work, and then I just had to stay flexible. There was no way I was going to guess that a DAO was going to send me on a suborbital flight with a company named Blue Origin that Jeff Bezos started. That was not anywhere in my purview of thought in 2004. There's no way to know that, but I knew kind of where I wanted to go, and I said, well, I'll just keep trying. And honestly, if it hadn't happened now, I probably would keep trying for another 20 years, and maybe in 20 years we'll have the Starship sending all of us to space. So yeah, it's hard, but I think the other piece of that is that you have to enjoy the journey, right? So you may never succeed in that dream that you have, but if you're doing something that you're passionate about, you're meeting people that are also passionate about it, then you should find a way to enjoy that piece, right? Of like taking the steps, making the progress, and just living in that moment, which I did all along. You know, when I went down to interview with NASA the 2 times, it was awesome because I got to like live in the astronaut crew quarters. Like, how cool is that? I got to do simulations. I got to meet astronauts. I got to go hang out in their offices and like check it out. So it was like the ultimate backstage pass for being an astronaut. So that was awesome. And then when Siam Proctor flew, I got to go spend time with her family and watch her fly. So it was like another backstage passages. So if you are making in the effort, you got to find a way to enjoy it, because you're right, you may never actually achieve your dream.
So I remember you kind of talking about how you had like two dreams or 2 passions. One was becoming a doctor, the other becoming an astronaut. But I guess it's interesting to me that you're able to pursue both paths at the same time. And I guess would you recommend that that people kind of keep maybe an income source, something very practical that they can, you know, something consistent, while still chasing these dreams? I guess how are you able to navigate all of that?
Well, if you ask any astronaut what you should do to become an astronaut, they're like, we'll say, find something you're passionate about and do it, right? So no one is saying that this is the only way or the best way to get to space. You really have to find that thing that you enjoy, that you can actually have a career with, and pursue that to an extent. So yeah, you need an income source. I think everyone needs a way to pay for life. As my daughter says every morning, I don't want you to go to work. I'm like, but you know, we have to pay for the house, the food, the shoes. So it's you have to be practical to an extent. Now that doesn't mean you can't find ways to do things. I was talking to someone today on the Zoom call or whatever, and they were like, you know what, you should consider doing a sabbatical here, which doesn't mean not making money. It means making less money, but going and doing like a fellowship for a year. So there are ways to still get paid and do the thing that you want to do. But yeah, I'm not going to tell anyone to drop out of their job and go, you know, bumming around to try to get their dream to work. But sometimes that's what you have to do. I live in Nashville. This is a city of dreamers. If you go and you talk to the wait staff at any restaurant, it's like 75% of them moved from somewhere because they want to get into the music industry, right? They want to be a singer-songwriter, or they want to play guitar in a band. So those people have found a way to make revenue while pursuing their dreams. So you just got to be creative.
Right. So I'm trying to figure out the right way to ask this question, because so you mentioned, you know, your family came from Iran. I remember in the in one of the videos that you made, one of the openers were that, you know, when you were young, that rockets reminded you of war, and then over time it turned into kind of a symbol of inspiration, of exploration. And you know, obviously we're sending Frank up, who coined this term, the overview effect, or this sort of cognitive shift that astronauts peek into as they're looking back down on Earth. I'm curious, how have your experiences, you know, going to space and has that affected your relationship with sort of your immigrant story, the way that the world looks like right now with war, between two of your own identities? I'm curious, how are you navigating that internally, and what maybe message do you have for us Earthlings that seem to just want to continue to kill each other for some reason?
I mean, it would be wonderful for us to live in a world where everyone could have the same opportunities and the same kind of stability that we have, right? I feel like in the United States, we're very fortunate. We have a lot of opportunities given to us and relative stability. I mean, sure, things happen, but in general, I don't go to bed worrying about whether I'm going to get bombed, or I don't worry about it too much when I go out in public. Right now, obviously, is a trying time between Iran and the United States. For me, the thing is, I just always worry about the people, right? So I hope and wish for the people that are in Iran that they have the same kind of freedoms and opportunities that we have here in the United States. And so as the new year comes through, that's what I will be hoping for them, is that they can have that kind of freedom and stability that we have, so that they can thrive, right? Like we do here in this country. I mean, the overview effect is real. I don't know when humans will get to the point of not battling each other. Maybe it's when an alien species comes after us and we have to fight the alien species, or maybe it's when we are off on Mars and we look back and we say, okay, like, yeah, it's kind of dumb to get into fight for these resources, because we are all just like living on a ball in the middle of space.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it seems maybe in some ways like too idealistic or something, to say, we're all going to realize that we're on this shared spaceship, this little mote of dust, this pale blue dot, and that we should look after each other, we should care for one another. But it does seem to be the sort of resounding message that astronauts come back with. They say, well, we should take care of the planet, we should take care of each other. Why does it seem that it's falling on deaf ears? How can we?
I mean, as a doctor, I can tell you should eat right and exercise. Right. And how many people do you think eat right and exercise? I mean, we've still sent less than 800 people to space ever. That's not a lot of people when you think about how many humans exist just today, right? 8 billion, something like that. We've only sent 800, not even 800 people. So one, that message is only getting out to a fraction of humans, probably. That's part of the problem. That's where going to like places like the moon really, I think, is impactful, because that people wake up and they see it and they think about it. Right now, I don't think most of the world cares when we have a space launch. They don't know how many people are on the space station or who's on the space station right now. So you need these kind of big dramatic activities to really inspire the masses. And I think in those moments, people probably feel the interconnectedness of this planet. I bet you, and I wasn't alive, and I know you guys weren't alive, but I bet you when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon, that there was a hushed sensation of awe throughout this entire planet. And so for that brief moment, we were all probably connected together on this achievement that we as humans did. So we probably need more of that. And we will get it. Hopefully the Artemis 2 mission is set to launch, I think, April 1st. I saw the crew went into quarantine today for 14 days to keep that launch window open. So that's going to be a pretty exciting one, to go around the moon again.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. First time that humans are going back to the moon in over 50 years. So
pretty amazing.
Yeah, really amazing.
And Jared Isaacman's pushing for us to land on the moon and have moon bases. And if you want to, hear more from Jared Isaacman, you can read my book because he's interviewed in my book. So that was a pretty exciting one to have along with the other astronauts.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, and it was before he became NASA administrator, right?
It was. I think I was lucky enough to catch him in between, stepping down as CEO of his company and picking up the NASA administrator role. So I don't know if he'd have time to interview for my book these days. I feel like he's running around the country and trying to excite all of us about space.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible that we have someone who's leading NASA that's been to space themselves. They can hopefully take some of the overview effect and implement it here via our space program.
Eiman, what's the status and timeline of your book? We have people asking, how they can pick it up or how they can get a signed copy of the book.
Yeah, so it'll come out August 25th, published, which is 2 years from when I went to space. I don't know if you recall, but I went to space August 29th. So it's coming on the anniversary, which is pretty cool. And then you can currently pre-purchase it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can Google A Heart for Space, Eiman Jahangir, or A Heart for Space, Simon & Schuster. It'll take you there. If you try to do it on Amazon, you want to put my name plus the title. So maybe we can drop that in the chat. If you're going to purchase multiple copies, so, when you purchase off Amazon, things like that, that's great. If you're going to purchase multiple copies, I ask that you please wait till my website comes up. I should hopefully have purchases available through my website in the next week or two. And then that will help me have each of those books counted towards a bestseller. So there's a whole process in this. It's a pretty crazy thing. Also, if you buy it through my website, we'll send you a link to a PDF of the first chapter, a link to the documentary that MoonDAO sponsored that came out last year, and a link to an app that I used Claude AI to create that is a companion to the book, a web-based browser app. So there is, there's some giveaways with buying it through my book. Also, if you buy it through my website, you buy, I think it's 10 copies, which is a lot of copies, but then we are going to have like an hour Zoom to kind of do like a book club a few weeks after the book comes out.
That's awesome.
So wait for more information on that. I thought that was all going to be ready this week. I'm sorry it's not, but the person working on that was at South by Southwest last week, so I think they got busy.
So we should hold off for the pre-orders until it's on your website, or?
If you're going to buy one book and you don't want all those extra things, then you can buy it on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, or any of those retailers. If you're interested in getting some of the earlier stuff, then, feel free to wait, and maybe we'll share it through the Discord when the internet website.
Buy it on both. Yeah. We got the QR code up here.
Just
for those
buy it.
Just buy it. Just buy the book. We got the QR code up here on the screen, though, for anyone who wants to get the link out to the website where you can pick it up, a pre-order on Amazon or on Barnes & Noble, etc. So check that out, and also obviously in Eiman's site when that goes live. We can share the cover now, right?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
And then I think MoonDAO, we could have some signed copies available on the marketplace, I guess, at some point. We haven't talked about it.
We should definitely get that on the marketplace when you're ready for that.
So here it is, A Heart for Space.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah,
the design is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so obviously I wanted the space piece because it's a very astronaut heavy book. The heart, because I'm a cardiologist, and then the father with the child on the shoulder looking at space, because I think it's important for us. We all have dreams as kids. We have dreams as we get older, though sometimes they take the back seat to our lives, careers, families. And so it's like, how can you look out to the stars and think about what it is you want to accomplish? Whether you're 15, 25, 35, 45, or even 60 years old.
It's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, a bunch of support comments here in the chat. Loving the cover.
Yeah.
Bunch of people, Stargazer.
Thank you all.
Rosanna. Yeah. Great work.
Eiman, you said that there's an AI app companion to the book. Could you expand on that a little bit?
I will say there's an app companion to the book that I made using AI. So it's not an AI app companion.
Oh, okay.
For anyone, I've been using AI, I don't know, pretty much every day for the last few months. And it's pretty incredible the things you can do with it. So if you're not playing around with AI, I really would recommend it because I found ways that it has made my life so much easier and saved me work. For instance, I'm giving a talk next week, and it's something I'm a content expert in, but I didn't have slides, and I asked AI to make a specific set. And within 10 minutes, I had 20 slides that took me maybe 20 minutes to review to make sure they're accurate. But I made a web-based app that is a companion to the book. So you can go through each of the kind of steps in the book and the questions that I ask and write it down. And at the end, you will have a launch plan for your own dreams.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty fun to make.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah, I'm excited to use it. Excited to play around with that. And yeah, definitely agree that there's some just incredible progress that's been done. I want to say even specifically in the last few months. So if people tried out, some AI tools a year ago or something like that, and they're like, now they've just gotten incredible. So
yeah,
that's cool. So you programmed this website just using Claude? Just
using AI, yeah. I'm not a programmer or a code person. So you guys can, when you purchase the book through my website, when it's up, you can get a link to that. If you buy the book now and you want a copy to the companion app, just email me or hit me up on Discord. I'll share it with you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited for people that are non-programmers to start building any apps. I feel like it's just going to be an amazing revolution in these like little bespoke applications. I'm sure for the medical field, if you're able to quickly whip up any sort of application for any specific day-to-day activity that can improve patient outcomes or maybe the speed at which you process certain information. Like
absolutely,
it's going to be incredible.
It'll be fun to see. I think much like commercial space, this is another fast-moving field that'll get us to the stratosphere in different ways.
Agreed. So anything else that you want to leave us with as I guess I already asked you what you learned as you're writing this, but I'm curious what other sort of insights that came to you that were non-obvious in this process of writing the book.
Writing a book is like loving your child. You put all this effort into it, and then you have this product. So I think for anyone who's written a book, how it's exciting it is to actually have something done and going into press so that other people can buy it and read whatever that story may be that you wrote. So I think that was pretty cool. We'll see if I write another one. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm really excited to read it. And also I've also just been excited to see all of your updates on social media. Your account is blowing up, which is awesome. And yeah, like all the reels that you've been posting. I highly recommend that for people watching this that don't already follow Eiman on Instagram, give him a follow.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's some awesome stuff there. You post like health advice, Astronaut. You just have all these different insights across different domains. So it's really cool to see.
Thank you. No, and I appreciate you guys letting me come talk on this forum about the book. I mean, this is the first place I'm talking about the book, so it's fitting since this is a very important community to me. And so, yeah, thanks for having me on today. And maybe we can talk more about it closer to the date too. After we get Frank's fundraising done and we're ready to rock and roll, this will be the next step.
Yeah. Let us know when the website book sales are up too, and we'll share it with everyone.
Awesome.
I'm excited to get the companion app. That sounds really cool.
Cool. Yeah. Well, Iman, thank you so much. Obviously, our
Thank you
doors are
all.
always open to you to come back up in August or, whenever you want. We're always happy to talk to Iman. So
Thanks, team.
cool. All right. Thank you, Iman.
Awesome. Thank you, Iman.
See you later.
See ya. Cool. So yeah, definitely check out the book, A Heart for Space. You can get your pre-orders in at the QR code, or stay tuned for Iman's website when that goes live. But yeah, really cool. Talk to some really awesome people too. So looking forward to seeing their takes, and just the general scope of the book. Sounds awesome. But cool. I guess we have a little bit of time here at the end. I know people have questions and stuff too that have been coming through about the fundraiser, the leaderboard. So I figured we could go through some of the more frequently asked questions. If you have questions too, feel free to let us know in the chat. We can either address those here or get those added to our documentation. But yeah, I don't know how we should do this exactly, but maybe I could prompt some for you here, Pablo, and we can go back and forth. But like, one of the questions that we've been getting is, do you need to know about crypto to contribute to the campaign? That's probably one of the most common questions.
Yeah. So the answer is no. You can contribute directly with a debit card, and we've taken a lot of steps to try to make it straightforward for anyone, especially if it's the first time that you're interacting with a smart contract or something like that.
Yeah, we've done our best to kind of abstract away all of that and just sign in as you would do on any website, whether that's Facebook or X or whatever, and you can add funds and you can contribute to Frank's campaign. And yeah, a couple related questions. I'll just go through them kind of quickly here. But do you have to be a MoonDAO citizen to donate? No, anyone can just sign into our website and donate to the campaign using the debit card or Apple Pay, etc. So you do not need to be a MoonDAO citizen to donate, and there is no minimum contribution amount. You can donate a couple bucks, you can donate $1,000. It doesn't matter. It's all kind of equal status there in terms of or equal access there. There is a bit of confusion around. I've seen people having questions around the donating $100 or more to be a candidate for the second seat. So just to clarify that for everyone, you can donate any amount. Any citizen is eligible for the second seat. The $100 donation offer is just for non-citizens to be able to donate to the campaign and get free citizenship or citizenship at no extra cost to also be eligible. So that just applies for non-citizens. If you're already a citizen, you are indeed eligible for the second seat. You just need to get some people to support your candidacy essentially.
Right.
How about this? Let's see. Yeah, a question around the overview token in general, Pablo. Like, if you're voting, does it actually spend or use the overview token? Like, are they burning the token? Or are they losing their token essentially?
Yeah, the tokens stay in your wallet. They're not used. It's just that your token balance is how we calculate your voting power. So the more overview tokens you have, the larger weight your vote. So we rank the top 25 in order of how much overview has been backed towards that candidate. Yeah. So you'll see like some people have like 3 or 4 backers. That's people that are taking their overview and then backing a particular candidate, but it doesn't spend their tokens. The tokens stay in your wallet.
Right. So on a related note, that means, you can vote for a candidate. You could change your vote at a later date for whatever reason if you choose to reallocate to a different person, but you can only vote for one person. You would just but you don't lose access to the tokens. Those will stay in your wallet and will continue to be used for governance decisions after the fundraise as well, should voting decisions come up to the contributors in the community. So you can change it for whatever reason, but you don't lose access to that tokens. What else here? Yeah, a common one is, what carrier is the space flight with, and like what's the timeline?
Right. So we are going to, we've reached out to a bunch of different carriers, and we're in conversation with different ones, and it'll depend on how much we raise. So essentially, depending on how much we're able to raise from the community, that'll open up access to different types of carriers and different types of mission profiles. So we don't want to commit to any of them just yet, but yeah, there's a lot of potential options. Yeah.
And we've had conversations with the majority of the carriers too, including for some of these ambitious stretch goals that we've floated out there, if we're able to like knock it out of the park in terms of fundraising. So, all of these conversations have happened. It's just a matter of kind of being flexible with the budget that we have and the timing and all of that before there is a commitment there. But yeah.
Right.
Another question is, when does round 1 close, or when does this first kind of initial phase end? So to be clear here, round 1 will be active throughout the entire length of the fundraising campaign, which currently stands at about 40 days, I believe. So it's on the website, obviously. It will stay open beyond that. We don't have the exact date, but we're thinking another 1 to 2 weeks after the fundraiser closed, just because we'll have clarity there, and also allow people who had donated later on in the cycle, they'll be able to evaluate candidates and cast their votes. But yeah, essentially it will wrap up soon, shortly after the actual fundraising campaign closes, and we will have an official announcement, at a later date. But it's roughly on that time frame in mid-May, essentially, before people would move on to the next phases of the selection process. So yeah, how about Pablo, what happens to my money or my contribution if the goal isn't reached?
Right. So if we're not able to send Frank to space, then essentially what we'll do is enable refunds and send people back their funds. We hope that we can send Frank to space, so let's make it happen. But yeah, if for whatever reason we can't achieve the mission, we'll enable refunds. Yeah.
As we're going through it, yeah, please do answer or ask any additional questions in chat. A few more that we'll probably go through here live. But I guess related to the refund too, just so people are clear, the refund would go back in Ethereum. So it wouldn't necessarily be in the USD amounts, just to be clear. So we have no control or responsibility over any fluctuation and changes of the Ethereum price between the date of contribution. And if there might be a refund at a later point in time, it could obviously be slightly more or slightly less, or it could be significantly different. You don't necessarily know, but just so that's clear, the refund would be issued in Ethereum.
Yeah, just to add some extra context. So what the contract receives is Ethereum. So what we would give back is Ethereum. But yeah, we, like Ryan mentioned, the Ethereum price is traded daily. We have no idea what that price of Ethereum will be, but you'll get your Ethereum back. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Let's see. So what happens if Frank can't fly for whatever reason? Say that the campaign is financially successful and we have enough funds to send Frank and or a second person to space, but what happens in the case that Frank can't fly for health reasons or whatever it might be?
So Frank has a flight surgeon who is a personal friend of his too. And he is going to make that final call on whether or not Frank is healthy enough to fly. We pray that he is. It would be, disappointing if he isn't able to. Yeah, and I think it's also worth noting that we have essentially, like when you contribute to be a part of this mission, you'll receive overview tokens, and in the event of maybe some unforeseen question, like, okay, Frank can no longer fly, how are we going to navigate this? We have experience in the past of essentially polling the community and saying, hey, what do you guys think is the right move forward? And so we'd likely vote or have the community's input in what we do in different kinds of scenarios. But yeah, there could be unforeseen things, like Frank has a health issue. Yeah.
Right. So I guess the TLDR though is that, like, the contributors, the people who are backing this flight would, well, beyond the doctor, but I mean, they would make the decision regarding, what we might do in that instance, whether it's a refund or selecting a worthy reemplacement and a worthy overview effect ambassador to stand in for Frank, or potentially flying another member of the community. But those are all kind of questions, hypotheticals that we would answer at that time. But I think maybe something that people aren't used to, though, is that, like, the people that are financing this, that are putting in the money, they are getting the oversight and governance of these funds and how they're used. It's not just like, okay, bye. It's not like a Kickstarter or something where you have no insight, no interaction beyond what you put in. This is, you're actually joining the mission. You're part of Frank's mission to space, and you help kind of govern those outcomes and participate in an ongoing basis. So it's definitely a new space model. I mean, this is how MoonDAO was initiated, essentially, by those funders that make these decisions and continue to make decisions today. But this would be related to Frank's flight and the funding collected there for Frank's flight, if that's all clear.
Right.
I guess that's a good segue, though, Pablo. Why use blockchain for this? Like, why bother? What are the advantages of using blockchain here as opposed to just putting it up on Kickstarter or something else?
Right. I mean, there's a lot of ways to answer this question. One is just like purely functional. Like we wouldn't be able to say, like, query all the contributors and ask them, hey, what do you think about doing A, B, or C thing? That'd be logistically very tough or annoying or difficult. We wouldn't be able to accept funds from people all over the world instantly. If someone has Ethereum, it doesn't really matter where they're from. They can instantly access and be a part of this, which is kind of in line with this idea of a global society, or of people from all over the world uniting around common goals, and having them be able to participate and be a part of a movement no matter where they're from. So yeah, and then it's also it's an open and decentralized financial system. So its properties aren't decided out of any one nation. So it allows for people to collaborate kind of independent of maybe one group of people having more say or power over others. And so I think it's very in line with the idea of the overview effect. And yeah, it's also just better money. So I think so. So than fiat, but we don't have to get into all of that. So
yeah, but I mean, just on a logistical level, I mean, it's open, borderless, permissionless. Like, if you want to participate, no matter where you are in the world, you can. It's not like you have to ask permission from me or Pablo or from your bank or anyone necessarily. It's a truly global, open, borderless, decentralized, definitely in line with the idea of democratizing access to space. And kind of arguing the contrary, it would almost be like arguing for closed door rooms or bureaucracy or just single entities that are allowed to make these decisions yes or no to fund missions or cancel it. I mean, it's really putting the power of these space missions in the hands of the people, which is important. I mean, yeah, it's very important, I think.
Yeah, one more thought too is when people think of like ETH or something like that, they often think of the token, so of the thing that you're using to pay. But the idea is much broader. So what we use, for example, with this campaign is a smart contract that executes based off of different like deterministic outcomes, essentially. And so these sort of guarantees, or the way that sort of the contract works, is auditable and open. Anyone can read the code. And furthermore, it's enforced via this network. So you get rid of the sort of like third-party trust problem. The code executes exactly how it's written, which is a really, really interesting property and allows for a lot of people to contribute with a lot more confidence. So, yeah.
Right. All open source. You can check it out. Trustless. It's not like the funds that are being contributed to the campaign are going into just Frank's hands or Pablo's hands or my hands. It's all backed by code. So yeah, it's a way that MoonDAO has been able to secure millions of dollars in funds securely over various years and execute on what the community is voting on and all that. So yeah, it's just kind of a better way to operate, as opposed to it just going into somebody's personal bank account or something. You don't know what's happening after the fact, if they're absconding with the funds and buying a Lamborghini or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, it's all transparent and verifiable online. So yeah.
Yeah. So we have a question about how to access the fundraise. So you go to moondao.com/Frank or /overview. If you go to the website, there should be a banner at the bottom that takes you right there. But yeah, we'll go to moondao.com. It should be intuitive how to get there. Cool. I guess any other FAQs? Maybe we've got a document that we will continue updating with any other frequently asked questions, but it's already pretty thorough. And we'll link to that doc with more information, so anyone can go through and have their questions answered. But if there's anything there that, or if you have a question that isn't answered in that doc, you can open up a ticket within the Discord, or ask your question directly in any of the channels, and we'll get to you. So, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I guess just kind of the TLDR about the mission and like how you can help or get involved. There's like three things basically. Obviously, contributing funds to help support the mission. You can do that at moondao.com/Frank, as we already discussed. Then you get the overview tokens, which allow you to govern the mission. So number 2 would be to vote for the candidate that you want to see fly alongside Frank, whether that's yourself or a good friend. You can vote for whoever is an eligible citizen as part of the campaign. And finally, the third ask would just be to help spread the word, whether that's telling people IRL, by DM, do some one-on-one outreach in your network or post on social media, because yeah, we really, really do want to see Frank White, the father of the overview effect, have this experience and get to space. obviously it's really cool if we can send someone else with him, but the main thing is, yeah, rallying behind Frank and making sure that Frank can experience the overview effect himself. So those are our main 3 asks for anyone who's tuning in here now. And yeah, anything else, you can always ask in Discord or shoot us an email. We're always responsive.
Yeah. So one thing that I want to get across is that so obviously this mission would be the culmination of Frank's work, but more than that, he is an exceptional communicator, and it's hard to quantify the sort of quote unquote return on inspiration from having someone communicate a new idea in a way that resonates with many people. So we think of like the pale blue dot with Carl Sagan, and it's hard to quantify exactly how many engineers or artists or scientists have been inspired by this. And I think Frank's work has already inspired tons and tons of people that are aware of it. But this mission would bring the overview effect to a whole new audience and expand the sort of awareness around this concept. And I think that will do a ton of good for a ton of people. So yeah, if you want to see the impact of the overview effect resonating with more people across the world, I think your funds are going towards that more than anything. Frank experiencing the overview effect is awesome, but I think the greater impact is sort of his ideas reaching more people.
Totally, yeah. Bringing the overview effect down to earth is something that Frank always says, and we need it now more than ever. Like he says, like if you don't think we need the overview effect, just turn on the TV and watch the news, see what's going on in the world. But yeah, we can really unite around this important mission. And obviously there's a lot of renewed interest in space with the launch of Artemis 2 coming up soon and going back to the moon, and people are excited about Project Hail Mary coming out this weekend. There's a whole, a revival, if you will, of interest in space, and it would be a really, this is a really important mission and important words and work that Frank has shared over the decades. And the astronauts themselves use Frank's words to describe what they're feeling and what they felt in space. And he has something like 20 astronauts that have endorsed or supporting this mission, and how we need to make this a reality for him. And together we can do it. The goal might seem ambitious, but really with a couple thousand people rallying behind him, it's totally doable. So yeah.
Totally. All right. Well, yeah, I feel like those are good words to close on. But yeah, go to moondao.com/overview to contribute. Yeah, any amount really helps. So we want you to be a part of this movement to send Frank to space. And you also have an opportunity of going yourself if you'd like to. You can become a citizen. You can put your name in the hat, and you can compete for this other seat. So it's not just a spectator sport. You can really get in there.
Participatory space missions. Let's go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't miss the train. It's only a 40-day window or something to get on board, so hope to see you there. Cool. Awesome. All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right, folks, we'll see you in the Discord. And if not, we'll catch you next week live, same time, same place. So cool.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
See ya.